Welcome to the Connected Spirit Podcast, a space where the mystical and the human experience merge, where we explore what it really means to walk a spirit-led path. I'm Courtney Dawson, an ethical medium and mentor, and for as long as I can remember, I have felt the presence of the spirit world. But my journey hasn't been simple. It's been one of self-discovery, healing from religious and emotional trauma, navigating fear, judgment, and the loneliness that comes with embracing something the world doesn't always understand. This podcast is here to take what was once considered woo and bring it into the real lived experience of being human. Because mediumship isn't just something we do, it's who we are. Here we dive into the conversations no one else is having, breaking down misconceptions, exploring the unseen, and normalizing the journey of deep connection. We'll talk about the beauty and the struggle of being a medium. We'll laugh, we'll reflect, we'll go deep. And most importantly, we'll remember who we are, why we're here, and how spirit moves through us all. So if you've ever felt something more, if you've ever questioned the unseen, or if you're simply ready to embrace the fullness of your spiritual path, you're in the right place. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Connected Spirit Podcast. Today, we are so lucky to have an amazing, beautiful guest who is a new friend of mine and really honored to introduce her to you today. Jennifer Rose is an incredible woman, and I want to tell you a little bit about her. She serves as an international spiritual evidential medium. She's a trance healer and channel, mentor, public speaker, transformational guide, writer, poet, and humanitarian. In addition to her one-to-one work with clients, she demonstrates mediumship for small groups and large audiences, spiritualist churches, and for charitable causes, spreading the awareness that love and life are eternal. She is known for her accuracy, love, and compassion when connecting with spirit. Teaching mediumship, healing, and spirituality is also a passion of hers, helping others to discover and enhance their spiritual gifts and embrace their own unique way of working. She also hosts For the Love of Spirit Sunday spiritual service, bringing the spiritual community together in celebration of spirit. Jennifer is honored to be part of the love, hope, healing, and peace that is gained through mediumship, healing, and spiritual development. Jennifer is also the host of Embracing Infinity on the Sacred Spiral Network, an exploration of love, higher consciousness, and living life to its highest potential. With a passion for writing and creative expression, Jennifer is a regular contributor to Edify Your Soul magazine. She has also been featured in the LA Times and been a guest on numerous podcasts. Her mission is to help remind others that we're all spirit too, and made from the absolute love that embodies us. Through the Know Thyself journey, we continue to unfold our divine eternal connection. Like, she's amazing. I've been on her show and the Sunday service. You guys, please go check her out if you haven't heard of her. I'm sure you have. She's amazing. Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Courtney, for having me. It's an honor and pleasure to be here with you, and just very excited for this time together.
Thank you. Thank you. So, our spiritual community is really growing. There's so many people coming in. We're getting
Yeah.
acquainted with new people. And I think social media is a big part of that. And that's where I was introduced to you, I think around the COVID times, to be honest. That's when I started to get really active on social media. And I've
Mhm.
always watched you, and you've always come across as somebody who really has, like you call your service, for the love of spirit. You have that. It's palpable. We can see it, but you also show up with such integrity for the work that we do. And I'm wondering if you could tell us like a little bit about your backstory of how you went from your early start to now. I mean, you're demonstrating all over the world and teaching.
Thank you, Courtney. Very kind of you to say all of that too, and likewise. I started about 10 years ago, and I kind of put myself through boot camp when it came. And like a lot of people who kind of awaken and start going on the journey, you tend to go to the like buffet and you want a little bit of everything. And but went hardcore. I'm one of those high achieving type A kind of gals, So I went like, if you tell me this works, I'm going to do it double. And so I did. I just was taking a lot of classes, a lot of development circles, workshops. I was sitting in the power 1 to 2 hours almost every day. and went through a whole lot of transformation. And so that's how I was able to get from there to there. 10 years isn't a short time, it's not a long time either. But that's kind of what it's taken. But not everybody has to do that. You can let things marinate for a while if you want and take a little bit longer. There is no rush. There's no like time where you have to get it done.
Oh, it's so true. And I
Mm,
see with so many people awakening to their mediumistic powers of awareness, there's this excitement. There's almost like a sense of urgency, Jennifer, where they're like, I got to show up. I got to take all the classes, workshops, trainings. I need to practice with all my family, friends, neighbors, and I need to meditate 5 hours a day. I mean, I've been there, so I'm not judging. And then you
yeah,
kind of find yourself, you kind of, it's like the pendulum, you go up and then you kind of come down a bit and you find yourself in this
yeah.
place of, now I'm a little bit more settled and grounded in my journey. How did you get to that place? Because you're very busy, but you come across as very, very grounded in the work that you do.
Thank you. I put a lot of effort into that. The best that um, I did get to a point where I finally kind of settled a little bit too. And I think COVID kind of helped with that. It made us all
Yeah.
kind of settle because we just couldn't go out all the time anymore. But there was a point where I could just feel both spirit and my own higher self kind of saying like you don't need to keep taking so many classes. It's too much money. You don't need more Reiki symbols. You've already learned 35 of them. Like just keep,
Yeah.
you've got this. But there's a confidence issue with that because you think if I just take more classes, if I just learn more knowledge, then that will make me okay. That will make me good enough to do this work. But once you build more confidence within yourself, then you realize that you can just practice with what you've got, see where you're drawn to here and there, and then really just keep doing whatever you need to do at home, and focusing on yourself too. So there was a shift there too, where it was like, too many classes, take a break. Let's just work, let's practice, let's get out there. Because there you could never get yourself out there because you think you just need to keep taking more classes. So there's a point where you have to just kind of take the leap and try. See what
Absolutely.
happens.
Definitely. And that's so, you've said that really beautifully because as mediums, I think we're all developing mediums. I mean, I sound
Mhm.
repetitive, but I do think that we're always learning and growing. But there comes a point in a medium's journey where you go, like, I've read all the books, I've taken the classes, I do the meditations, and everybody's got an opinion on something. Everybody's got an opinion, right? I mean, I have my own
Yeah,
too. But there comes a point where that information becomes a bit convoluted and it's like overload. It's like, when can you actually get the boots on the ground and get to work and practice? And it's so important too, right? I think we sometimes put limiting beliefs on ourselves about what can be achieved through our mediumship, and as opposed to saying, hey, spirit, let's do this, right? Now,
yeah.
I kind of want to go back to something that I hear you say in your content, and I've heard you say, we are spirit too. We are spirit too. And that's really important because we often just get, I don't know, confused or more hyper focused on the physical human, right? And so I'm curious, what does that actually mean to you? And how has that really shaped your journey as a medium, but also a healer?
Thank you. I really appreciate that question too. For me, I've been through some tremendous amount of transformation, so I'm not new to the spiritual awakening journey and going through some of the higher levels of transformation. I do still have a very human personality and live a very human life, and I go kind of in and out of how within the veil that I am. But through that, and a lot of that happened actually during COVID because it was prime time for a lot of people to do that. Just as a side note, when COVID hit and we had lockdown, I was like, oh boy, here it comes. It's going to be a massive dark night of the soul. Everybody's going to be home with their thoughts and they won't be able to do anything to distract themselves. So I already knew it was going to happen. But for me, um, it took me to a place where I understood that I wasn't a separate self. And we may know that intellectually, but there is a point in your transformation where you know that in your being, you know it spiritually that you're not separate, that the spiritual beings having a human experience is literally consciousness projecting itself into the human experience, and we are channeling our reality. And so we're getting a little multidimensional and esoteric here, but that's what happened to me. And so when I'm in more of that place, I very much realize that I don't have to take everything quite so seriously. But then there are moments where I'm very human and everything is very real and the emotions are very raw too. So I kind of weave in and out. And I'm okay with that now because I love living life. I've realized I want to live this life and make the best of it that I can. Number two is when you realize your spirit, that also helps your confidence within
Mm,
yourself. We make ourselves so small. It is important to be humble and have humility because what can be given can be taken away.
yeah.
So it's good to remember that. But we don't always give ourselves credit for the hard work we do and for who we are as people and the amount that we give too. It's like we're spirit too. Not too long ago, I posted I think it was a little poem that I had channeled. And one of my friends was like, "Did you write this or did spirit write this?" And I said, "Well, both, because I'm spirit too."
Yeah.
So it was both for us too. So, um, and then number three is another part that showed up recently is that, and as we spoke about this with spiritualism, the personal responsibility.
Mm.
It can be very easy to just blame everything on spirit. Well, spirit did this or spirit did that, and there is a rhyme and reason to everything, and everything happens for a reason. We understand the grand cosmic connection, but if we're spirit too, we are part of our destiny. We are part of the reality that we're creating. And the good part about that is there's tremendous freedom when you're willing to go there and not think that you're a victim of fate all the time, if that makes sense. So,
Oh,
kind of like it's
yes.
a big,
I mean, that's a whole rabbit hole in and of
oh,
itself,
yeah.
right? And it's true, and it's not easy where we realize we're not a victim of circumstance. We actually have free will and control over our lived experiences, and how we show up and handle them really is a reflection of, and again, only my opinion, not everybody has to agree, but the evolution of our own soul, or reflection of the soul growth. And it's about moving away from fear and into this place of empowerment. Now, you also talk about like know thyself, and that's a really deep and personal journey. And as someone who's been developing her mediumship, and you still do, what does that look like for you?
Thank you, thank you. That's a big one, and it's very connected to understanding that your spirit. And to know who you are requires a willingness and a courageousness to explore yourself, to look deep within. And um, we, as spiritual humans, have been taught at a very early age to have a very outward experience. That's actually normal. We have mirror neurons, we are wired to get feedback. And then to check ourselves for who we think we are and develop ourselves based on that feedback. There is a point where then we have to come and look back inside and see what's in us. But we're so used to doing it differently. It's hard to kind of switch gears and do it a different way. Just like with mediumship, right? You have to learn to be in the flow and allow spirit to move through you. Whereas in the beginning we're trying to like reach for it and go get it, right? It's the same thing. It's learning how to do yourself in a different way. So for me, it's I explore all the parts of myself, and I practice a lot of acceptance, and I try to continue
Mm.
my self development and my growth and self awareness. It's not an easy journey to do, but it needs to be done with love and compassion. And the more you know you and are willing to do that work, the better your life is going to be. It just is. And I don't
Abs
say too many things in absolutes, but that's one of them.
I absolutely agree with
Yeah.
you 100%. It's uncomfortable doing the personal development, but as a mediumship teacher, you're working with students. This has to be coming up for them, the personal development, when you're teaching them mediumship. How does that come up for your students when they're like, I have fears, I have doubts, and I have insecurities? How do you help
Yeah.
with that? I'm just curious because I know, like in my connected spirit school, when I am teaching people in my circles, those are normal human things that come up, the comparison trap, the self doubt, the insecurities. And I find that often those are really amplified when they're developing the mediumship, but I see it's usually stemmed from something that happens outside of the class or the circle. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on how, number one, like how that shows up for your students when they start developing, but then also too, how do you support them through that?
Yeah, thank you. And, sometimes we have to just stop and have a conversation together just to kind of get it over that hump. It's very common. So I think the first part is just knowing that that's a normal thing to go through. Mediums go through lots of different phases of development. We call that the spiritualization of the medium. And so going through these things is very normal. And so then they go, oh, okay, I'm not going crazy. It's not just me, it's a normal. And I tell them my story too. Oh my God, if you knew how many tears I cried when, all of a sudden my clairvoyance turned into my clairsentience and I didn't know what to do with that. Like, why'd you do that to me? I was on a roll, spirit, and so when they realize, oh, I went through it too, I think that's very helpful for them. And just to know they have support, creating a loving atmosphere for people to be able to be vulnerable in is really important. I've seen a tremendous amount of healing that happens in development circle, personal healing, because we're coming into practice our mediumship, but then what's happening is we're also getting messages, we're also getting support from each other, we're also seeing like the miracles and the magic of what spirit does and how they bring us together, and how something there always is some kind of theme that turns out. And then over time, months into even a couple of years, people heal. They're
Yeah.
so much happier than they were before. And I'm telling you, that almost makes me happier to see than to watch them fly out of the nest and, go be successful, is to see them happy.
For sure. And it
Yeah.
really just brings home this statement that my first mentor said. She used to say mediumship's all about healing. And being an overzealous double Virgo, I went to all of the seminars, Q&As, etc., and she would say that, and I didn't get it. And I said, what does that even mean? But I think sometimes the word healing can be so limiting until you have
Yeah.
those experiences where fears are removed, different things come up to the surface to be revealed that you forgot about, and then you're able to move through it. And you see, like mediumship is healing, but not just for the people on the receiving end of the message, but how the spirit world works through the medium and how they hold them
Yeah.
and guide them and protect them. How have you found that healing quality of mediumship for yourself? Like how has it impacted your own personal life?
Thank you. And I think what you're kind of referring to is that we look at healing as fixing,
Yeah.
and healing isn't about fixing. It's just about, I like to think of it as maybe more of a blossoming or a coming
Mhm.
back together, coming back home to self, to um, just really knowing you, building that confidence and self awareness too. I am not the same person I was a few years ago. So I had a lot more insecurities, and that's very normal too.
Mhm.
And I can't say that I'm perfect and I never have an insecure moment. I still do. Of course I do. I'm human, and I'm not afraid to talk about it too, because, the coming back into your sort of like your vulnerable self takes a lot of courage to do that too. We put on a lot of different sort of layers on top of our vulnerability too, but to get in touch with that is a gift, to come back to your spirit, which is a bit childlike and playful and one, full of wonder. To kind of come back into that wonder is quite a gift to have. And it's not an easy ride, but the gifts are tremendous if you're willing to go on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's not for the faint of heart, I'll be honest. People that want the quick
Yeah.
fixes, the instant gratification, mediumship's
Yeah.
probably not going to be the thing for them, but the ones that stick it out, you see the
Hmm.
greatest transformations in them. But then it's
Yeah,
this beautiful ripple effect of how they're, through their own healing, touches the lives of people they work with, their family, their friends, their physical health. Like, oh my gosh, it's just so beautiful. When I see people make a connection with the spirit, have those aha moments, you see how parts of self have been healed. Like, I get really emotional about it because it's so it's like a miracle, but you're
it
literally
is.
witnessing it. And we realize mediumship and all of that, there's a science behind it, but it's a miracle too, because it's something that you can't bottle, you can't manufacture. It's it's just you're open to it, and however whatever level you're open to it is the level you're able to receive. It's so cool. Now, talk to me a little bit about, I mean, you're a multi-passionate healer. I mean, a lot of us are. You do healing and you do trance. Can you talk to us a little bit about the trance first? Trance is like a really, I find in the spiritual community, I love me some trance. I love doing trance, trance
Hmm.
healing, trance communication, trance
Hmm.
philosophy. I've noticed maybe in like 10 years, last 10, 15 years, there's like trance seems to be kind of a fad, but I think it's probably one of the most beautiful forms of mediumship. For you, what can you maybe explain to the listeners? What is trance? What isn't it? And how do you work in the trance states?
Okay, thank you. I'll try not to go too long on that one. I tend to have very long answers sometimes.
All
Try to like
good.
make it as short as possible too. So a trance is an altered state of awareness. And to be honest, we're all in a trance all the time because we're dreaming this reality, but we'll put that one aside for now. We have this reality that we're in, and we learn to go into different altered states. Think dreaming, think dream time before you fall asleep. When you're first waking up, you're not quite all the way here. So we learn to move our awareness into a more subdued, quiet state where our thinking mind is farther in the background, sometimes totally out. But I
Mhm.
think for most trance mediums, they're still kind of there in the background. A good way to explain it is if you were underwater and you could still hear some voices above the water. It's kind of like that. It's just you're farther removed from them. And an essence of spirit is able to kind of blend in the awareness. It can feel very much like an energetic blend with yourself. I find it more that it's a blend of awareness that we channel as an experience that we can feel so that we know it's really happening, if that makes sense. Too. The
Totally.
power can get very strong. It can feel kind of heavy, like a weighted blanket, not to be confused with something bad. It's just the power. The power is very strong, very deep. A lot of times people just feel like they're falling asleep when the trance energy is around, even when I'm watching somebody else's Zoom demonstration for a service or something, because the the spirit is so energy is so high there. I'm like, oh dear, there it is. It's like
Yeah.
the power starts to come in too. Um, with trance, we can do a lot of things. We can communicate with a spirit helper and give a message of philosophy. We can communicate with a loved one. They could come and kind of speak right through you. A spirit helper could also act as the medium. So there's a lots of ways to do it. Most often we think of it as philosophy. If you go over into another segment of the spiritual community, they might use the word channeling. It really is the same thing. But you may see them connecting with, say, an angelic being or a more cosmic planetary being or something like that. To me, it's all trance. It just depends on kind of how you work with it.
Mhm.
What I love about it is it develops that passivity with spirit. So there is an expression like trance can only enhance your mediumship because you learn to develop that passivity. You learn to allow spirit to come very close and have that blending, because with that blending, you get a lot better information with them. So it will help your active mental mediumship here as well. Healing was one of the best things that I learned how to do was trance healing. And I did all of the Reiki too. But with the trance healing, I was like, all I got to do is stand here and let spirit do the rest and they just be open to them coming and blending with me. That's all I got to do. I can do that. And so I did. And that helped me to get the passive channel flowing too. So I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful form of healing. And then it's just spirits just using you as a channel. And it feels beautiful. They can move your arms around. It's magic. It really is magic too. So I highly recommend learning how to do that too. And it just requires time, sitting in the power, being willing to just hand it over to spirit, hand it over to spirit, letting them come closer, letting them come closer. Think of it as two colors blending together and becoming a new color for just a little while, and then you're your own color again. And that's a nice way that people can visualize that and feel comfortable with it too, because they're not coming in and possessing your body. It's not like that. It's
Oh.
an awareness, but you feel it, which is super cool. So I love doing trance. I love channeling messages, and I love giving healing, and I love doing all things mediumship too.
What a beautiful
Thank you.
explanation. And I like how you explain the two colors blending to become one. That's such a good analogy where it's really visual. People can get it.
Hmm.
Because I remember, like, my background started in the spiritualist church, and healing's been always a thing. They do the healing after the service.
Yeah.
And I did my level 3, level 4 healing there. I love it. I actually miss it a lot. It's just so incredible. But when we started doing the trance, it was like suction cups. You just feel like your hands are going all these different locations, and it shows the
Yeah.
intelligence of the spirit world. And I took a trance week at
Yeah.
AFC with Simone Key, and I was having like major chronic pain, and I was really hurting. And we were in this massive circle. We were in the big room, or they call it the large room, and there's
Yeah.
nobody close to me. They had to been 12 feet away from me. Nobody close, maybe further. And Simone went into the trance state. She's like, "Do you want healing?" I'm like, "Yes, please." You could feel it. And then I closed my eyes, and
Yeah.
within a couple minutes, Jennifer, I felt different hands all over my body. And it was literally like somebody was touching me. So I opened my eyes and I looked. Everybody was sitting in the circle. There was not anybody close to me at all. And I closed my hand, and I could feel there was 4 hands touching me, all the areas where I was sore. And it was not even 10 minutes later, the healing was done. She's like, "How are you feeling?" And all I could do was weep. My pain was gone, and I was good for the rest of my trip. Like, people go, "What is that?" That's trance. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is incredible. And I mean, I would love to see more people doing the trance healing because, God, the world needs it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And if there was somebody
Mhm.
standing above you, and they would use your hands, and they would move your hands around for you, and they would get like within an eighth of an inch of actually touching your body. That's how intelligent they are, because your eyes are closed while you're in
Yeah.
trance usually.
Yeah.
And so to think that they could get this close and not actually touch you and still do it. I mean, some may do hands-on healing, but that is how intelligent and perfect they can get, how much trust
Yeah.
you can put in them. And to feel them like lifting your arm, oh my God, it's just, it really is. It's miraculous, it's magical. It opens up your whole reality to who you think you are, what you think the
Yeah.
world is.
Mhm.
um, and brings in that aliveness and wonder back, and the possibilities of how you can ease suffering are great too. And it's like, all we got to do is our little part, we just got to do our little part, and it means a lot.
It's partnership with the
Yeah.
spirit, right? And your willingness to
Yeah.
let them lead, which isn't easy. But if you want to develop that, find yourself a mentor who can support you in that. It's incredible. It's incredible because you realize, wow, spirit is intelligent. They're a lot smarter than what we actually give them credit for, right?
That's
So,
true.
Jennifer, you work with the spirit world in so many different ways. How are you finding your own mediumship from like when you started? You were saying about 10 years
Yeah.
ago to now. How has it actually grown and evolved? Because I was just having a conversation with my circle this morning, and some of the students are noticing that the spirit world is changing how they work. They got so confident and comfortable, and there was some confidence, and even one admitted, she's like, "I got a bit of an ego that happened there." And spirits kind of brought her back down to earth. And I said, "But isn't that wonderful? They love you enough to show you that." Right. And I said, "You
Hmm.
got to sit with this. Your mediumship is going to grow and evolve. You just have to kind of go along with the journey and trust them." And so, as mentors, we go through the same steps. So, how have you been able to navigate those changes? And how has your mediumship changed from when you started to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And that's another point too, is that it will change, and that's why to know that somebody else has been through it is helpful. That this is a normal part of the journey, and sometimes it changes when you're actually leveling up too. So when that kind of leveling up happens, things can get a little wonky there, and you're like, I don't know what's happening. I'm not getting things the way I used to. Your clairs could be switching, and it's like, okay, we were working this way, now we're going to work this way, and you have to get used to that. So I've been through all that, lots of tears, lots of discomfort, lots of should I quit this? Am I meant to do this? All of that is very normal. And I'm always willing to grow. That's just like I'm always happy to keep growing. I'm always grateful for any growth that I do get, and I just keep trying. It is nice because I went from kind of like the IV drip, where you're waiting like
Yeah.
so many minutes in between pieces to I can keep a really nice flow going. I trust that it's going to happen. I don't have to get overly nervous. I always get a little bit nervous because I want to do well. It just means that I care. I don't overly dissect things the way I used to. I do it a little bit still. That's okay. I'm human, but I'm grateful for any progression that I get. And as long as you stick with it, as long as you're willing to keep going and keep trying, and as long as you're willing to do the work on you, you will see continued growth. But there's no ending point. I think that's the important thing. There's no arrival. you know, I've seen mediums working for 30 years and they will still say after a demonstration, was that okay? Was that okay?
Yeah.
We're like, what? Oh my gosh, you're you. How could you even question that? But we all do it, but it just means we care. It just means we care.
Absolutely.
So I'm very happy not to be in the IV drip stage.
I think we've all been there though. That's the whole thing. And it's about having
Yeah.
humility about it.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's listening right now and maybe feeling like they're disconnected from their spiritual gifts or maybe questioning, do I even have what it takes to be a medium? What would you say to them? And with that, everybody has different opinions. I'm so curious. What are your thoughts and feelings on that?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I think we're all mediums because we're all spirit.
Yeah.
And some people are meant to do this as their calling or as their profession, and some people aren't. And some people are in between. They may just want to dabble with it a little bit and kind of use that to enhance their lives or maybe just with their friends and family and kinds of things. But to say that only certain people are mediums, I don't quite agree with that because we're all intuitive because we're all spirit. And it just is with that too. Um, Periods of disconnection, and it can be a lot of things. I often, when people are going through an awakening stage, they'll kind of feel that and they'll go through a period like that too. So that could be possibly what's happening there too. Um, I usually notice that it's a phase that resolves itself quick enough. So you just got to be willing to kind of, maybe it's time to take a little break, and just cut back on things a little bit, go back into your human life, get caught up with those things. Maybe that's what your higher self wants from you. You've got to come back here, get a little bit grounded back in the 3D reality a little bit, take care of some business, right? And then kind of come back into it too. So it could be a lot of things, but don't give up. And if you're questioning, do I have what it takes, or should I be a medium? Like, how do you do that? Like when I have people questioning like that, like let's say you're doing a Q&A after a demonstration, I'm like, if you're asking me the questions, you're probably a medium,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't be so curious. You wouldn't even be asking the question if there wasn't some kind of calling within your soul, that was making you so fascinated with it. So perhaps listen to it, try it out, see what happens.
Absolutely. And honestly, there's nothing bad that can happen from developing mediumship at all. And
Right.
I really agree with you, Jennifer. I know a lot of people don't. I don't care that, we all are mediums because we're a spirit having a human experience. And I always say, our innately, we already know how to do that. It's just our mind that needs the training or that remembrance of that
Yeah.
connection. And if you feel that calling, yeah, I totally follow Jennifer's advice, you guys, because it's spot on. I
Thank you.
agree. It
Thank you.
resonates so deeply. You are a busy lady. Not only are you so generously volunteering your time for an upcoming event on May 18th from Heaven with Love, which is a fundraising event for the Franks family. You have a bunch of other stuff coming up. You are one lady that is teaching, you are doing services, podcasts. Can you tell our listeners what you have up and coming and how they can get in contact with you?
Thank you. Thank you. You can reach me at mediumjenniferrose.com. I'm always adding, new classes and workshops. And so see kind of what, if you feel called to it, great. I would love to meet you. I'd love to work with you too. I do my Sunday service every couple of weeks. Sometimes it's, 2 to 3, usually 2. And we have different guest mediums that come on too. It's a lot of fun. It's a very loving space that everybody is welcome to join in as well. I always have some free online events that I provide as well for people to healing, spiritual Q&As, things like that too. And then I do specialty workshops kind of, throughout the year. I've got 3 shows. I've which is really fun. My Embracing Infinity is every Friday. And I absolutely love that. It wasn't on my radar to do that, but I'm enjoying it so much, and I've got to make so many beautiful connections. And then once a month, I also have a messages from the Enchanted Realms, and oh my gosh, is that fun with mediums Fran Pearson, Shannon Retain. We do that once a month and connect with like the fairies and the angels and all of that, and it's very delightful too. And with Miss Nancy Martella, we're doing fashionably spiritual as well too. So we got all that coming up too. But I just love, I just love, it all lights me up. I don't know if I could say if one thing is my favorite. It all lights me up. I just love to just spread some happiness, make people
Mhm.
happy, make people feel some love. It's really all that matters is the love. That's it. It's that simple. It really is. So
Abs-
I'm happy that I get an opportunity to put a little bit of extra love out there in this world. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to speak with you as well, Courtney. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me
Mhm.
on your shows. They were amazing. And I will say, you guys that are listening, her shows, the energy and the presence of the spirit, you can feel it. You can feel the love. It is beautiful. Go check it out, please. You can find all that information in the show notes. Jennifer, you've been amazing. You're welcome back anytime. Want to talk about anything?
Thank
Come
you.
back. It's
Okay.
so wonderful to have you on the show, really share your voice, your wisdom, and your love with my listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Courtney. I'm very grateful.
The Connected Spirit isn't just a podcast, it's a remembering of who we are, a remembering of our connection to spirit, and a remembering that we are never walking this path alone. Mediumship isn't just about speaking with spirits, it's about deepening the connection to our own spirit, to one another, and to the energy that moves through everything. So as you leave this space, ask yourself, what part of this conversation stirred something within you? What connection is spirit inviting you to strengthen? If this episode spoke to you, please share it, leave a review, and connect with me on Instagram at Medium Courtney Dawson or visit my website at mediumcourtneydawson.com. Your presence in this community matters because connection isn't just about what we seek, it's what we are. Until next time, trust your spirit, trust the unseen world, and trust that you are always, always connected.